I've lost 20 pounds, and that's where I was when I was getting out of high school, going to college. I've had the pleasure of working with you, and you are the real deal.
If you are a woman in your 50s and you are trying to find the secret to losing weight or wondering if it's even possible to lose weight at this point in your life, then look no further. Stop what you're doing, do yourself a favor, and watch this video now. Are we serious? Woo! Hello, my honeys. My name is Emmie. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Emmie. I'm a nutritionist and the creator of the Slim on Starch program, where you work with me as well as a mindset coach and a nutrition coach so that you can lose weight on a plant-based diet. If you want to learn more about that, go to healthyemmie.org. Also, make sure to hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell because I upload a new video every Wednesday and Saturday. Today, I'm sharing with you the inspirational story of my Slim on Starch client, Amy. She is just a pistol, and you're gonna watch this video and say, all right, let's do this. So if you are feeling like you need some motivation, some inspiration, if you're a woman in her 50s and you're like, you know what, maybe this is just the way it is, watch this video right now. I'm gonna let Amy do the talking, and she is going to whip you into shape and show you you can do this, and you will. Watch this video.
Well, I should say first, I'm so excited to be here today because, Emmie, you have absolutely changed my life. So it's really an honor to be talking to you today about my journey and being able to kind of share it with the world. So you are the best. You really are. So
thank you. I think that about you.
I thank you. So who am I? Amy, and I'm 51 years old. I have a husband of 25 years and two almost adult children. And I am going into this last, the 50 years, the next 50 years with a lot of optimism and excitement because of where I am on my health and weight loss journey.
So Amy, when we first spoke on the phone, I'll never forget it because you had such an energy and an excitement and you were so gung-ho about this. How did you end up getting to that point where we got on the phone and you were ready to go?
I was I could not wait for our phone call. So let me go back a little bit. I have been playing with my weight for over 30 years. And I gained a lot of weight in college. I did that, beer pizza, and a lot of stress, a lot of all-nighters. And then I came home after college and took some of it off, not all of it. And then I went to law school and I put more on. And I took off some of it for my wedding, but not all of it. And then, my story is not atypical of most women in their 50s. I've gained and lost weight in various ways over those 3 decades, had 2 kids. And I got to the point where when I looked in the mirror, I did not see myself. Like, the picture of self that you have, I started just in the last few years saying, this is not me. And I decided that I was going to set out in earnest, trying to crack this code. But I hadn't really done it for the 30 years prior because I've been on every program. I ate food out of a box. I can still kind of smell and taste it sometimes. But, that would work for a little while, but you can't do that forever. And, I've been on everything. I've counted macros. I've tried to exercise my way out of it. I wouldn't say that anybody in my life has ever said, you need to lose weight. And, I've even said, well, back when I was heavy, and people say, I don't remember you being heavy, but I was uncomfortable at the weight that I was at. And, I always stressed, I've always worked. So, you can camouflage things. But if you look back, I don't have a lot of pictures of myself. I would opt out of things that required me to, wear a bathing suit or all that stuff. And I'm sure there's, not a lot of pictures with my kids, which I kind of regret now. Not that I grew up in the, in my early 20s, we didn't have those cell phones, so you could take pictures of everything. So they were a little bit more deliberate. And I just ducked weight issues for a long time. But as I was cresting my 50s, perimenopause, menopause, you start thinking more about who do I want to be for those next 50 years. And the one good thing about all of my dieting is I kind of became a nutrition junkie. So I am pretty well read on all the various ways of eating and how food can be medicine. So I'll get to the point where of the story where I found you. So for the last few years, I have been really getting up to speed on whole food plant-based. And whether, you're looking at Ornish or Dr. Esselstyn or Campbell or, McDougall, all of them. Greger, I love his stuff, all the, the meta-analysis. No one would dispute the fact that whole food plant-based is good for you, good for the planet. And I watched, Forks Over Knives, Game Changers, you name it. I kept thinking, as the new programs would come up, because there's always a new program, is like paleo and keto, and and I thought, it's whole food plant-based. I need to go in this direction. I know it's right for me. I know I'm not going to go wrong. I'm not going to regret it later. But the question was, how? How was I going to do this? And I watched. So my husband has been, he sits on the couch with me and watches all this stuff. He actually went first into eating whole food plant-based. And I watched him lose some weight, but he would make these big bowls of salad and just stuff to the brim. And halfway through it, he'd always say to me, I'm so tired of chewing. He's like, I can't do this anymore. And then, but it would all just be green vegetables. And then he would finally get to the end of it. And then about an hour later, he'd be up in the kitchen and he'd be looking through the cupboards. And I would hear like, are Oreos vegan? I'm like, all right, this is not working, but I'm still intrigued, understood that this would work, but there was something missing. I'm like, I can't do that because when I go through the pantry upstairs, it's not a good thing. And so I started, like any good American, I went to YouTube and I started watching, because I had already run out of movies. I already watched everything. I'd already read everything. So I kept on doing whole food plant-based, whole food. And then I will give some credit to your friend, Chef AJ. And, the whole Dr. McDougall starch solution concept, I found that on YouTube. And the idea there was vegans or whole food plant-based people, what you're missing is the satiety that comes with the starch. And if you are rummaging through the cabinets an hour after eating, it's because your stomach receptors, or I'm going to use the wrong words. I know you're a nutritionist, so I'm using my fake words. They're not going to be triggered, so you think you're full. And I was like, that's it. That is what is missing. It's this piece where of course, when he cooks, I eat it. I was trying to do the same thing, but I already knew that I need to feel full in order for me to move on past the kitchen and get on with my life. So I'm watching the videos and, you go down the rabbit hole, and then I found you and I watched you. And then I watched another one. And my daughter was even home from college at the time. This is during COVID. And of course, I was like most people, like happy hour could not start early enough. We're ordering in. I am eating my feelings because I'm an entrepreneur and I have a company with 40 plus employees. And I'm like, the world is ending. What am I doing? So I'm like in this spiral down from an eating standpoint and a stress standpoint. And I was clearly reaching out, looking for something because I was doing this YouTube thing. And I start watching your videos, and you made it so clear and so easy. And you said, I'm accepting new clients. And there were a few videos where I would call my daughter into the room and I'm like, look at this woman, look at this woman. I think I can work with her. And my mom, my daughter says to me, Mom, like, she's like a little you. She reminds me of somebody who'd be in our family. And that I was like, you are so relatable. And I've had the pleasure of working with you for now 7 months, and you are the real deal. But I just had this feeling, I'm like, if someone is going to take me through this process and hold my hand and get me to where I want to be, it's going to be this healthy Emmie. And also, there was some, you do it with a lilt in your voice and a smile on your face. And I just never get tired of learning from you. And then, so now I can talk on the after, now when I've worked with your team and, my 2 coaches, oh my God. I mean, it's just like you hire people who are like you. And it's just been a godsend. I mean, this has been wonderful. Did I go into it thinking that this would be it? This would be as radically life-changing as it has been? Probably no, because I've tried and failed so many other things. But now coming out the other end 7 months into it, I'm like, this was it. It was the time. I had to get here. I don't regret the path that I've taken, but now that I'm on it, I'm almost like a weird little evangelist about, this Slim on Starch program. So, all right, I'll stop talking.
Well, thank you for sharing. That's a terrific story and very inspirational. And what I want to pick out, Amy, is that you are highly intelligent, you're highly successful. When you heard that bit about the starch and the satiety that it provides, the light bulb went off and you go, got it. That's the missing piece. Now, because you are so smart, you're so driven, you're able to get things done, how come you didn't just take that and run with it and say, all right, I figured it out. I'll make that adjustment and be on my merry way?
Yeah, I will hire. So I am an entrepreneur. I've been a lawyer for a long time. I've run businesses. And I kind of have a rule of the road if I'm not an expert in something and I need something done right, I will always hire in an expert. I hire in, even though I'm a lawyer, I'll hire in lawyers who are expert in areas where I need jobs done. And I've just done that throughout my entire career. I knew, and I had actually started to dabble with getting a nutritionist because I'm like, if I'm going to get this job done, and I don't have a lot of time to get it done because, there's a lot of writing around like, get this done before you enter menopause. Although you have proven that people in menopause can actually lose weight too. I mean, I'm realizing there are no rules. I've broken every stereotype out there, losing the weight that I have. But I knew, I was like, I need someone to walk me through this journey because I watched my husband, nibble around the edges on this vegan eating. And I've done it enough without having experts. I've tried it. And I was like, I want to get it done right. So I think that's what made me realize, don't go it alone. You don't have to suffer this alone, because it's too easy when you don't have accountability to say, I tried it, it didn't work. And there's a lot of old thinking that you have to get out of your system, or at least spend the time in validating. So I'll give you an example. It's stuff like, I can never give up cheese. I love cheese. I can do anything, but I can't give up, cream in my coffee, or I can't imagine ever not eating meat or whatever that is. If you want to be whole food plant-based, if you really want to give your body a gift, if you want to extend your life, you have to examine those thoughts. And I needed someone who would be there to say, you can do this, or better yet, let's work through this and figure out, can you, because I'm an adult at some point, if I want to have a glass of wine, if I want a piece of cheese, or, I'm going to do that. But having experts who have walked this road with countless people to show you, this is how you do it. This is how you can stay on this path of health, but yet, put some of these things in, complement what you're doing already with some other things that will make your life better. I mean, nobody wants to live an ascetic life. I mean, we all want to live, we've designed these lives to have everything that we want. And, getting an expert in to help you figure out what that looks like in Whole Foods plant-based it's where it's at. So I would recommend it to anybody. If you're serious about this, if you've been, again, nibbling around the edges of this, this is the way you get it done. And you figure out at the end whether or not it's for you or not, but at least you gave it the best attempt that you could. And for me, it worked out.
Mm-hmm. I saw a quote the other day that said, asking for help is a sign of self-awareness and self-respect. And that's how you've become so successful, is you're able to identify the areas where somebody has an expertise, and then you bring them in and they're part of your team. They become a part of you. So their expertise becomes a part of who you are. That's how you become successful.
It does. It does. Nobody gets there alone. So
I know that people are wondering, how much weight did this woman lose? You glow, you look healthy, you say you're 51, but you don't look it, you don't act it, you have so much energy. So what were your tangible hardcore results?
Yeah, I've lost 20 pounds. So, I debated whether or not I put my weight out there, because I've been hiding my weight for a really long time. I am, as of this morning, I'm 139. And I'm 5'8".
Yeah.
I've watched videos before, and I swear I've watched them going, how much weight do you lose? How much do you weigh? And, I don't want to trigger anybody, because everybody's body is different. And, my 139 is not right for everybody, but that's my structure. And that's where I was when I was getting out of high school, going to college.
Wow.
All I ever wanted during all those years was I usually was like somewhere in the 150s. And, and then I started creeping up into the 160s, particularly with COVID. I mean, it was just like, that's the other thing, the lid was coming off the pot on that. And I thought, this is not going in the right direction. And when I got into this, I was like, if I could just get to 150, if I could get to 150, that would be awesome. And I just cruise through it. And I swear, I get up in the morning and I'm like, hello, scale. And I've been married for a long time. I have a good life. People love me, good career. But again, I just did not feel good in my body. And I didn't like the way I was showing up in the world. Now, everything fits. Actually, I've had to get a lot of new stuff, which is fine, which is good. I feel like I exercise better, I sleep better. I don't have, for the women who are 50 and above, I don't have the hot flashes. I mean, there's so many things that this has taken care of. And I think the biggest thing is the mental space. I have really cleared out a lot of the issues I had around weight. I feel like I'm on something that I can do for the rest of my life. And, we haven't even talked about the actual day-to-day eating, and it's so simple. When you're on a program, I've counted macros before, I've done, counted points, I've done everything. That's like a part-time job. And that was one of the things where I'd have to gear up for it. I'm like, okay, I got to learn a whole new metric. And I was on a diet once, and I remember one of my friends, because it was high protein, it was a macro, and she called it my bag o' meat diet. I used to walk around with like a bag of, like, your breath always smells like chicken. And I was like, I know, because I'm eating constant protein. Like, this program is so easy. And, I build my plate every day. I don't think about it. I don't think about food all day. I don't think about like, where am I on my macro count? How many, things do I still need? It's just super easy. And that has also taken, it's given me back time in my day. It's given me a ton of mental space. It's easy. It is easy. And in fact, because I did get, my husband eats this way too. So the two of us eat. And now that when we run home from work, it's like, I know exactly what we're going to eat. Boom, boom. And that's it. 15 minutes later, 5 minutes later, sometimes we're already eating. And I swear every time we eat together, we say, are you just so happy we are doing this? I mean, we're constantly really goofy about it. We're just like, I think everybody should eat this way. And it makes us feel good. I don't have food hangovers anymore. I had a lot of those, like you go out for these rich meals and all that stuff. And I never regret what I eat. And in fact, I think that, knock on wood, my lab tests have been increasingly better. And I'm going to do one, I think, in a month or so. And I expect everything to be, right where it should be.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's so funny that you led into that part of the conversation, because I was just going to say that you are busy as busy can be, and you don't have time to do anything that's not related to your businesses or your family. You're always going here, there, everywhere. You always have something to be done. And so for a lot of people, they see this as a barrier to getting to where you are, because they say, I'm always on the go. It's just easier to grab something. So why I bring this up, even though you sort of just addressed it, is because what you're showing is, I've got it. I've got my groove. I'm in my system. I got this going. My husband eats this way. You're in the groove. And once you're in the groove, you stay in that groove.
Yes.
Getting to the groove is a part where people see it. They see this as this big mountain, this big obstacle. And they think that, it's just easier to grab something easy on the way home, or get takeout, order from a restaurant. I know you have work lunches with people.
Right.
So how do you navigate that? Because it would be easier to just pick something up, get takeout, get whatever everybody's getting at the restaurant. Could you speak to that a little bit? Because I know that's a part of what you do for work.
Yeah. Well, it actually is not easier to do what you're talking about. It is easier to have things already prepared. I do a lot of my cooking on Sunday. It's super basic. It is lots of roasted vegetables. It's buying stuff already frozen and in bags. It's cooking up bunches of starch on the weekend. And in the morning, I'll get to the whole eating out thing. But in the morning, it takes me about 30 seconds, because I go like this. Where's my starch? Boop. Where's my veggie side? Boop. Maybe I'll throw in some beans, maybe whatever, fruit. It takes me about a minute to get my stuff together. And in fact, one of the reasons, I will also add, you had a video, so old probably, and it made me laugh, because you said, okay, I'm going to food prep for, I think it was like, you're going to meal prep. I know we don't really meal prep, we just food prep. And you said, and I'm going to set a timer, and I'm going to put my stuff together. And I think you did like 3 days of food in 4 minutes, but it was hilarious, because you kept going, go, and you put it in and go, stop. And then you're, and I was like, I can relate to that, because that's about how much time I want to spend doing this. So I do that all day, every day. I make no apologies. I pull my stuff out. People don't care what you're eating. They don't look at me sideways. They're always like, Amy's super healthy. Look how thin she is. So I get a lot of those. And we do have people back at work. I know this is a little weird in COVID, but we're masked up. We have a few essential workers here. And the first time they came back into the office, the big comment was, we've seen you on Zoom for the last few months, but we had no idea how thin you were. I said, that's why I brought you all back in, so you can see how thin I am. But when it comes to, I've had a few meetings where, they'll order in pizza, they order in, we have all of our favorites around here. I bring my meals. And I would say it doesn't happen overnight. And people would be like, I'm having a hard time seeing myself do this. Remember, I've been doing this for 7 months. So those first 8 weeks, and that's the first part of the program. And I've done the master's program, which I'd highly recommend. You just get used to what you do every day, and that becomes normal. And then the other way to do it, like when I have to order out, like my kids still love takeout. When we're all together, I don't eat that way. Randy doesn't eat that way, but my kids do. Oh my gosh, or what do you want? We got to pick it up. We got to bring it home. I'm like, this is not easier. I could have eaten my dinner like 50 times over by the time they get there. And I've also learned, so by the time, I start going back out to business lunches and things like that, that's what I've been working on through the master's program. What am I going to do when I do that? I've actually already had 1 or 2 dinners out, and all masked up and all that stuff. But it's really not that hard. It's not that hard. I called before I went to one of them. I scanned the menu, and at the end of the day, if you wind up, if you eat a bowl of oatmeal before you go and you don't look at it like it's your last meal, it's like you get over it. And then I get to wake up the next morning and I'm still thin. You really have to think about it in terms of, how do I want 99% of my life to go? Not this 1%. I see people fixate on that 1%. What do I do when I can't get, my Frappuccino? It's like, don't focus on that stuff. Don't worry about the lunches. You're there. If you're with someone, you are there to enjoy the conversation. The food is secondary, right? When I'm in a business lunch and, they're bringing in Panera for everybody else and I bring them, we're not there to eat together. We're there to get a deal done or whatever that is. So focus on the 99% of your life. Be selfish. I would say to a lot of women out there, be selfish. Like, I don't need to show up and eat what everybody else is eating. I'm over that. I do what I need to do to be the healthiest me and to live the best life for myself and my family and my friends. And, you get over it. Hey, when I was doing macros and I was doing Weight Watchers, when I did all that other stuff, it's the same deal. You're always like, I can't eat that. I can't eat that. So don't think that, during the rest of your life, when you're doing all this dieting, it's just a variation on a theme. So this is not hard at all. In fact, I find it a lot easier.
Yeah. And it's called a business lunch, not a lunch business.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that.
We used to hear, you're a student athlete. You're not an athlete student. So school comes first, just like it's a business lunch. Business comes first. It's just, you got to do it over something.
Exactly.
So you are the queen of simplicity when it comes to your meals, and I see all your meals. You do a bunch of KISS meals. You got your starch, you got your veggie, you got your legumes, bam, done. It works well for you. A lot of people say, I just can't eat that simply. That's so boring to me. What would you say to that? Was this ever a thought that you had? A lot of people are attracted to simplicity, but at the same time, they say, I really like having interesting recipes and meals. What would you say to that?
Oh, that's a great question. And I do. So, I'm a little bit of an evangelist. So I do talk to some of my girlfriends about this. And, I've been talking to my masseuse, and everybody's intrigued, and they'll say, well, send me some recipes. Mm-hmm. And I always say, well, the best way to do this is to start very simply. And again, it's not your last meal. And you may find that putting together a simple plate is all you need. It takes very little brain space. Recipes, for me, I've incorporated recipes for sure. So I will have some really wonderful SOS, some starch, Indian dishes, or I'll make a really yummy bean chili and I'll eat that, 3-4 days in a row as like my side, or, so you can incorporate them for sure. But what I would say is there's a lot of flavor in food. You have to retrain your palate a little bit. The reason that we like recipes is because they have cream sauces and they're high, lots of sugar, salt, or all that stuff. Get down to basics, 8 weeks, keep it simple. You're going to retrain your taste buds. You're going to find a love for the simplicity in fruits and vegetables. I crave things I can't even believe I crave. I crave spinach in the morning. And it's so weird. But I know I have a very simple meal, but I don't have a simple palate. Never have. I've always been a foodie, which may come as a surprise to a lot of people listening, but so I spice it up. I'm learning to use other spices, and you start developing a real love for the pure taste of whole food, plant-based recipes. You can do those if that's what you like. And my husband and I love cooking. So we are experimenting with all kinds, and there's so much stuff out there now. If I had done this 10 years ago, I can guarantee that there wouldn't be the abundance of, oil-free and, vegan recipes out there. Now it's all over the place. So you can incorporate it. Your program teaches how to incorporate it. Every week came with recipes. I never looked at them because I don't really do them. There's plenty. There's more recipes than you have meals to eat them. So you can do a combination of the two. There's many, many ways to take this path. But at the end of the day, the way you teach us to create the plates, whether you do a recipe or you go old school, KISS like I do, keep it simple. You got to get the ratios right, and you got to get the feedback from your coaches, and I guess that goes to your question of why don't you do this alone? Because if you really want to get it honed in, you need a third party taking a look at your stuff. But that's my long answer to, recipes are there if you want them. Keep it simple, or do a combo platter like I do.
I swear you must be a mind reader, because I'll have a question in my mind and then you answer that question before I can even ask it. So everything you're saying is spot on, because I was going to point to the fact where you'd said earlier in the conversation, there's that saying that nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. But you have the opportunity through a whole foods plant-based diet to retrain your taste buds so that you can be at a healthy weight and all the food tastes really good. And it doesn't matter what your background is. I mean, I used to eat Hostess cupcakes.
Yep.
Here I am liking vegetables. And you said too, you used to be a foodie and probably still are a foodie, but you can incorporate that appropriately.
Yes, totally still a foodie. And, I think a lot of the food movement has gone in that direction. Farm to table, vegan. I mean, there are no restaurants out there that don't have vegan entrees. I mean, if you're really, and let's be honest, I mean, I still have occasionally, I'll have a little piece of cheese, or I'll have, a bite of this or a bite of that. You don't have to be super strict to have this kind of weight loss. But I'll tell you, it's not as good as you remember it. That was the other thing. It just, you have it, you're like, oh, just have this. And you're like, that wasn't really that good. So I'm okay with it now, but I'm on the other end. I know people are scared when the idea of deprivation, like I'm going to have to give up all the things that I love and I'm going to be sad. Again, 1% of your life. And I can promise you that you will fill your palate with wonderful, beautiful things. And then your palate starts to say, oh, I rank that higher than all the other, standard American diet stuff. Like when I think about some of the junk I used to pick up on the way home on a Friday night, like as my treat for my family, I'm like, I cannot even think about eating it anymore. It's just, it changes. Everything changes. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I hear people say this a lot, that going back to the foods that they used to eat, they always say it's not as good as you remember it being. No. And it's because before, your brain, the dopamine, it was up, down, up, down, up, down. And you sort of needed to get that high to just feel that satisfaction, because your brain was so used to doing those dips. But now you have that calm, stable brain that we always hear about. So it doesn't need that high. And when you get that high, you go, I didn't even need that. It wasn't as good as I thought it would be.
It's not as good.
Yeah. But to your point, that you don't have to do this 100% of the time. And you've had tremendous success while incorporating other foods, and not even always vegan foods. You don't even have to be vegan the whole time if you don't want to be.
Oh yeah. No, you do not have to. I'll just tell you, I never really thought I could be at this weight. I never in a million years. And I had already, because you can also read a lot of stuff saying that once you hit perimenopause, it's impossible to lose the weight, or it's very, very difficult. And I stand here today saying, and I know you interview your mom a lot, the Healthy Mummy series, that also helped me a lot. That was the thing I think that pushed me over to pick up not to pick up the phone, to email you and say I'm in, because there is a belief, particularly for women 40, 50, 60, that this is about as good as it gets. And I don't know what got me on this topic, but it's just, I stand here today saying there are no rules. It's never too late, and this is all doable. It is very doable, and it hasn't been hard. I don't feel like I don't feel like I've retracted in my life. I feel like I've kind of expanded my life. So
you're 51 years old at the weight you were at in high school. That's remarkable.
Yeah. If only I had my old prom dresses, I would try them on or something.
I love
to be weird. Yeah. And I'm pretty private about, I don't talk on, like, I don't go on Facebook and say, look at me. So the fact that I'm even doing this with you, it's just a testament to how much I believe in you and how you can help other people who have struggled. I feel them because I was them for a very long time. And, I just started with a concierge medical practice this year because I wanted to make sure that I could get in the best health state ever. I got a big company and I got a lot of really hard years. I'm venture backed with my company and I got a lot of big years ahead of me. And I was like, I got to train for this like I'm training for a marathon. And I'll tell you, she puts little smiley faces on all of my checks and stuff. So I could even say from a health standpoint, my health is exactly where my doc wants it to be. And I mean, she's given me the 360. I mean, I've had every test known to man, and I am coming out smelling like a rose. And I attribute so much of it to, my weight, which takes a lot of things with it. But just what I'm fueling my body with too.
Well, thank you so much, Amy. You are a star, and I'm sure you've inspired a lot of people through this call. So thank you.
You are a star too. Thank you so much. Thanks for everything that you've done for me.
Today's secret word, if you are still watching, is pistol, because that's what I think of when I think of Amy. She is just a pistol. She is ready to go. She's ready to get it done, and she absolutely has through this program. I hope that you guys enjoyed this interview. Amy is awesome. And if you want more interviews, I am more than happy to interview my tremendous Slim on Starch clients. See you guys in my next video. Mwah! Woo!